Greetings, agents. This is the Mediocre Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're doing something a little bit different today. We are diving into the world of hypotheticals and what may be's. The reason for this is fellow content creator and all-round Division 2 guru Dispatch has made a couple of videos along these lines, and I thought I'd give it a go myself. If you're not too sure what I'm referring to, then check out Dispatch's channel and the two videos that I am referencing. Links to those you'll find in the description. So this is what I would call mediocre ideas, part 1. There may be more, there may not be more. But I was kind of thinking after watching Dispatch's videos, well, what else could the devs implement to make this game better or give it some more depth or maybe expand on it a little bit, particularly for more experienced players who are kind of looking for something more to do once they have, optimized their builds or done all the content, done all the raids, etc. What can they do? And I was remembering back to a time when I used to play World of Warcraft. Yes, I admit I used to play World of Warcraft. And something that I really enjoyed about that game was the player-driven economy and the marketplace. So you could basically farm items in the game, and then you could go to the auction house and you could put those items up for sale and you could make money out of them. And it was, when I used to play, it was quite successful and quite popular, and it was a player-driven market demand style economy, and I felt like it worked really well. And I thought, well, could that type of thing be implemented into the Division 2? So this video is going to go through how that might look in game, what some of the positives are, what some of the caveats could be, and we're just going to talk about it for a little bit. So bear with me while I stumble through the Division 2 marketplace. Okay, so let's talk through some points around perceived benefits that I see that a player-based economy and auction house or marketplace could bring to the game. Okay, so the first point would be around having an extended lifespan for gear and some player motivation. So as we all know, many players end up with a lot of gear in their stash that they no longer need, but they might be saving it for a rainy day, or they're just saving it, because they don't have anything else to do with it and they don't really want to get rid of it. So benefit of the marketplace would be that it gives you a place to sell or trade these items, and it gives otherwise redundant loot continued value. And this keeps farming relevant and encourages longer gameplay sessions. The result here is that there is less frustration with RNG or grinding and more satisfaction for dedicated players. Next benefit would be around social interactions and community building. A marketplace encourages player interaction. Now, you may have different thoughts around what the current landscape is around player interaction and collaboration. It's very hit and miss. If you've ever joined a random group to do a legendary or something like that, you know that in my experience, sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not saying that this is going to fix that, but what I am saying is that it could improve the interaction that we currently have in the game. So a marketplace would encourage player interaction and collaboration. It gives the opportunity for veterans or more experienced players to help newcomers by selling their, the gear that they pick up from just playing the game or whatever. And it also would encourage communities and clans to form specialized economies, which could lead to increasing clan activity and player retention. And that brings me to my next point, which is increased player retention and engagement. So the market basically creates goals beyond loot drops. Players might grind to earn credits to buy rare gear instead of relying solely on RNG. So this basically creates an additional avenue for progression or gear acquisition. So instead of just running missions and grinding, we have a secondary progression loop similar to what there is in Destiny 2 or Warframe. And then also players who prefer economic gameplay over combat still have meaningful ways to contribute and progress. And so speaking of the economy, Some of the advantages of having this style of economy in the game would introduce things like dynamic pricing, scarcity, and demand-driven value. So obviously, rare items, exotic components, and things like named weapons could gain prestige beyond their actual combat performance. And the devs could actually track trends to help balance loot drops and tune item rarity in future updates. So basically, if the devs can see via the marketplace activity that a particular item is not actually popular or not actually being sold in the marketplace, then they could maybe fine-tune some loot drops to balance that out a little bit. We also have a potential monetization avenue if done ethically. So the market could include a tax or listing fee in standard in-game currency to sink inflation, and the devs could also sell optional marketplace related features like expanded listings, premium trading licenses, cosmetic only visibility boosts without being pay to win. And a well-balanced marketplace could sustain engagement without exploiting players. This could also encourage build experimentation. So with easier access to specific items and mods, players can test multiple builds rather than being locked into what RNG gives them. This fosters creativity, theory crafting, and participation in community meta discussions. And I think this also highlights one of the main frustrations in the game, which is frustration due to RNG. A lot of loot and content is locked behind RNG. For me and many other players, I imagine, is a source of continuing frustration where it's heavily randomized. Having a marketplace gives, in quotes, unlucky players a way to bypass extreme RNG walls. Players can trade for items they can't get to drop, making the game more rewarding without reducing the challenge. And finally, this could also be a revival of the game's end-game economy. For long-time players, once builds are optimized, motivations fade, a trading system reinvigorates end-game play, farming high-value loot to trade becomes its own end-game loot. Now, there are a couple of caveats that the devs would probably need to look into to prevent this causing problems of its own. So something like real money trading abuse would need to be addressed, possibly through binding timers or tradable tokens. It would also need to look at limit trading of mission exclusive or story locked exotics to preserve progression, and maybe consider clan limited or server region markets to avoid economy inflation. So agents, these are the possible rewards I see for implementing an in-game economy. What I want to do now is actually have a look at a model of how this would work. All right, let's have a look at a concept model of this so-called marketplace. I'm calling this new feature the Broker Network. So it is a division agent-run black market exchange operating out of safe houses and settlements. Law-wise, it's a secure division-authorized trading network used to redistribute recovered tech, weapons, and materials among agents. So the currency system, we introduce a special currency called broker credits for player trading. So these are earned by selling items to other players. They are spent to buy items in the marketplace. They are not purchasable with real money. This is to prevent pay to win. And there is a small transaction fee, maybe 5 to 10%, paid in normal SHD credits or broker credits to act as a money sink. Optional, introduce broker credits for limited high-end transactions earned via raids, seasonal rewards, or commendations. Eligible trade items, so not all loot should be tradable to maintain the game's integrity and progression. So high-end gear should be fully tradable after pickup. Named items should be tradable after a 24-hour bind timer. Exotic items should only be tradable as crafted blueprints or replicas. Gear mods should be fully tradable, which encourages mod farming. Skill mods also should be fully tradable. Crafting materials should also be allowed to be tradable. And also maybe vanity and cosmetic items should be tradable as well. This is optional and it's kind of harmless to balance. So there's a lot of cosmetic items that are no longer available that players really would like to get their hands on. I understand that some of that would be tied up with licensing deals and so forth, so the devs would need to figure out some way around that. Anti-abuse and security measures. So account level requirement, each player must be shade level 100 to trade. There is a trade tax of 10% on each transaction to reduce farming. Listing limits, max 5 active listings per player to stop market flooding. Bound items, so mission exclusive exotics like the Eagle Bearer should remain account bound. Market interface concepts. Alright, so this would only be available at the White House base of operations, clan headquarters, and safe houses. The user interface would be a hybrid of Division's recalibration station and vendor menus. There would be a search bar with filtering options, tabs for weapons, gear, mods, materials, vanity, a listing window with an item image, stats, and price, a compare feature so items can be directly compared with your current build, and a watch list where you can track items you're looking for with notifications available. And you can see a bit of a mock-up of that here. Trade flow, so the player lists an item from their stash or inventory, they set the price with an optional buy now or a bid listing, so an auction style. Item locks in until the trade completes. The buyer purchases via terminal and the items delivered to stash. The seller receives BRC minus the listing fee. There could also be social and clan integration, so a clan only market option for private trading to strengthen clan ecosystems. Could be also a reputation system where players earn broker trust ratings based on fair trades, number of successful transactions, and player feedback. This could also be incorporated into seasonal events, so the devs could add temporary surplus exchanges where certain categories like brand sets get boosted trade activity or reduced tax. So some gameplay impacts. Some positive ones: extends gear relevance and encourages build diversity. It reduces RNG frustration, it strengthens the social economy, and it introduces new goals and playstyles such as farm to sell and merchant builds. It also adds a reason to revisit older missions and reasons. There are also some potential risks, so there's inflation from over farming. That could be mitigated by adding taxes and item decay, and older items lose value. Could also be the potential for real money trading, so anonymous listings and tradable currency only. New player imbalance, so there could be a level gate and limited listings for that, and there could also be the potential for market monopolization, so they could introduce transaction caps and rotating featured items. Some future optional expansions could be a global market trends board, which is curated by the devs that charts popular trades. There could be a mobile companion app link, so you could check listings and manage trades remotely. There could also be dynamic pricing events, so seasonal boosts for specific factions or item sets. So there you have it, agents. There is my broker network concept model for the introduction of a player-based economy and marketplace in the Division 2. As always, I would be very keen and interested to hear your feedback. Are there any glaring omissions or faults that I have overlooked in this? Or is this something that you like or don't like? Please let me know and let's have a discussion about it, as I think that this would really be a benefit to the game. But I will leave that final decision up to you. As always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you stay safe out there, agents, and take care.